I need a haircut so badly. Hi. So this is so random, but I thought that it would be helpful because people have asked for it. It's also gonna be so easy, just saying. I've had some people ask me about how to make their features look more masculine, and I figured since I'm pretty androgynous looking, we might as well do that. So the first thing is I would probably not wear foundation because most guys don't. And those little like freckles and imperfections and like discoloration and stuff just kind of like adds to a slightly more like masculine look. Kind of like boy beat, you know, when boy beat was like a thing, that like darkness and stuff is like, it's like a part of it. So no foundation. We are gonna be using concealer, but in a different way. So the first thing that you wanna do is kind of like think about features that men have versus women. Women are typically softer. We have like typically softer like features, cheekbones, softer like jawline, typically. You know, this is all like, I was gonna say generalization. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is sharpen some of those features because typically men have sharper features. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be using my Fenty matchstick. This is in the shade Amber. And one thing that you will notice about a lot of guys is that they have much shorter foreheads. Like the distance typically between their hairline and their eyebrows is much shorter. So I'm gonna be using my Fenty matchstick and I'm going to bring this down here. So I'm gonna make my forehead pretty short. Next, this area is typically, that's really annoying, I'm gonna stop saying that now, much more sharp, like much more defined. So this right here, I'm gonna draw a line right there. So basically what we're doing is kind of like an exaggeration of features, okay? So I'm gonna start out by blending that before actually maybe I should just show you all of it before we blend. Next, guys usually have like sharper cheekbones. They have more of their definition like up here and like down here and less so in the cheek area. So it's actually like kind of similar to me because I don't have like big round cheeks, but it's usually like kind of like sharp here and then it kind of like goes down, but it kind of depends on like what you want to do. Should we do that? Should we do this kind of shape? Yeah, it's usually a little bit more like hollow in here, if that makes sense. Next up is like the jaw and chin area. I'm gonna define my chin more here and here. So I really want this to come forward more. I'm like the worst person to do this because I have like the least defined chin in the entire world. And then this whole area is much more defined. So what I'm gonna do is intensify that by drawing like that. Okay, so really defining the jawline. As far as the nose goes, I could probably just like leave mine alone because I don't have a particularly feminine nose, but I feel like guys usually have like a more angled nose. Oh, let me just take a look at a photo. This looks funny. I have like a, what are those things called? Ventriloquist doll. So as far as the nose goes, I would probably just leave, like usually I like to refine the tip and then like up here because I have this bump, but that's actually kind of like working for me here. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of like refine literally just the tip a little bit. So I'm just gonna do that. So that I'm not bringing it up, I'm kind of like keeping it straight. For highlighter, I'm gonna use the Stay Naked Concealer in the shade 20 WY because it's like a decent match for me. It's a little bit light. And I'm gonna use this to highlight the certain areas that I want to bring forward a little bit more. So that means right here along my jawline. And then also my chin. So this whole area right here. So it's kind of interesting. We're actually doing like the opposite of what I like to do for my makeup. I'm doing all of the defining, like, and the highlighting on the outer perimeter of my face. So I'm gonna start off by blending out my contour. And typically what I would do is kind of blend this up so that I'm kind of like minimizing my jawline, but I'm actually gonna be doing the opposite. So I'm bringing it downward to really create like a shadow. So I'm going like completely underneath, not bringing it up at all, because that's where I want the highlight to be. And then this, for this shadow, you can kind of just drag it down the contours of your neck so it's not like so obvious, you know? So really focusing on like defining this area and then bringing it inward to shorten that forehead. Let's do this part next. So I'm gonna blend this contour here. I'm gonna focus it in the area where I placed it, and then I'm like basically just like blending around the edges. And then I'm gonna kind of like just fade it up and out. Cheekbones. Blending to the ear. And then I'm not gonna bring it in too far. Then I'm just gonna slowly blend this. Kind of down. You can bring it in as much as you want to kind of like create this like angle. Just remember that you want everything to look like more sharp. All right, quickly for my nose, I'm just gonna use like a little blending brush. This is from Sigma, and I'm gonna just pat this down and then bring it out a little. So I'm kind of trying to sharpen the tip of my nose and not giving it a lift or anything like that. And I'm also kind of like accentuating the fact that it like is pretty straight and points, like trying to kind of make it point down a little bit more. All right, and then for my concealer, I'm just gonna use a sponge and I'm gonna start blending that. So I'm bringing that all the way to the tip of the chin and here. And then if you went like a little too hard on the contour in any areas, like if it came up at all, you kind of like use that to blend. I'm just using this to kind of like sharpen the cheekbones a little bit. So just keeping it like out here. And then for the jawline, I'm gonna take it all the way to the edge of my jaw, up here, and then inward. So just trying to like widen that jaw area. And then I'm going to highlight the bridge of my nose and take it like right here, because this area comes forward a bit more for men. In fact, if you want to make your nose look a little bit like wider, you can, rather than taking a line inward, you can kind of like take it on the outer part of your nose, and that will widen your nose. So I'm kind of gonna like blend it here, blend it around my nostril, and drag it down here. Kind of like blending it into my under eye circle. I'm also going to take a little bit of what is left over with that concealer around my lips, because you can make them look a little thinner that way. So for my eyebrows, see, this is like very simple. It's like very minimal stuff, makes you look a little slightly more masculine. Obviously you can like build it up as much as you want to try and like really, cause like I don't have a defined jaw no matter what I do, you know what I mean? I made my chin look a little bit more defined. I made my like this area look come out a little bit more, but there's only so much I can do without it being like ridiculously obvious that you're wearing makeup. So it depends on like what your goals here are. But anyway, for brows, I'm gonna use the Say brow tint. This is in the shade Deep Brown. So guys typically have like slightly darker eyebrows and they're also like pretty straight. So what I'm gonna do is using this, dude, that construction is so fucking annoying. And I'm gonna really try to thicken up my brows. I'm gonna start on the ends and I'm brushing them down and kind of like inward, just because I want to really like thicken them and coat them. This stuff is really, really natural looking though. Also, men's eyebrows are typically lower than women's, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm coating like all the hairs on the bottom as well, trying to make them look as thick as possible. And then I'm gonna bring it inward. So I'm kind of going against the grain so that I can make sure that I'm coating everything. And then what I'm gonna do is just kind of like brush them the way that they grow, like however they naturally lay. And don't worry about making them even, because like how many guys worry about their even eyebrows, you know what I mean? I think the inner part is like what makes the biggest difference though. Dude, this is funny. I actually think like brushing them down probably like makes them look more masculine. I look like my brother. And that is all I would do. You can only do so much before it's like really obvious that you're wearing makeup. I hope that was helpful in some way. I literally look like my brother. Let me know. I don't have any experience with doing this. I just like having looked at faces, planes, knowing like what the difference between like male and female skeletons and skulls. This is what I came up with. That's it. It's kind of dope. I'm just gonna like brighten up my jawline a little bit more. Like really defining this, I feel like is the trick. You know? Let's see if this makes any kind of difference. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got for you. Hopefully this helped, whoever was looking for this. And let me know your thoughts. And yeah, that's all I got. Let me know what you want to see next, I guess. And I'll see you eventually. Bye. Just painting my face for the thumbnail. This is totally fine.